So it's a challenge. This, this new world in terms of the pandemic and the demands, the demand for content that it puts on me. I feel like there's greater demand now to create content, not just books, but other content.
Just interviews and things of that nature. Or
Yeah,
study
yeah,
guides,
interviews. Could be a webinar, could be, a book talk or a reading of a book. I mean, just like I'm probably doing about two or three of those things a week, maybe four, some weeks. Yeah.
Is that just works in throughout the day, just whenever you have the time, or?
Right, right. Like I did a school visit today, and then watched, participated in an author. I guess it was about promotion and marketing. It was a webinar that Penguin Random House had for its authors. So it was just, it was not. It was interactive, but it was, you couldn't see anybody other than the presenters. And sometimes I like to at least see people.
Yeah, it's one thing I don't love. Well, there's a lot of things I don't love about the pandemic, but specifically about virtual speaking is if I'm making jokes and I've got more than one person on the other end, I don't know if they're landing.
Right,
Everybody's got their camera
exactly,
on mute.
exactly. And often when I do school visits, the poems that I like to share are interactive poems, like that, that are I usually do choral readings. And you can't do that with Zoom, and because of there would be a slight lag, and also because the kids are muted and you can't hear more than one voice at a time most of the time, unless you really know how to do a lot of fancy stuff, which I don't.
I think by the time this is done, we'll all be experts, though.
I know. Do I really want to know all that though? In a way I feel like I do, but I'm really not sure whether I want to know all that. It's just, I think the more you know about a thing, the deeper you're going to get drawn into it, perhaps.
Well, do you think that this is something, and we can go ahead and call this the start of the show, because I'll keep it
Okay.
brief and pithy,
Okay.
since you've already done 2 events today. But do you anticipate when you go back to whatever the world looks like once the vaccine's widely distributed? Do you anticipate that you're going to go back to strictly in-person events, or have you gotten used to being able to at least be at home
Well,
and
no,
then cut out?
I do like being at home. In fact, I liked being at home before the pandemic. For many years before I joined the academy, I worked at home, out at my home. And so when I then, had to began doing the teaching and had to have office hours at the university, I kind of felt homesick. I always wanted to be like in my little home office. And fortunately, when you're a professor, you don't have to be there every day necessarily. So it did allow me the freedom to still be at home. And then a year ago, I was leaving campus and had an accident. It was like a 3-car hit and run accident. And I wasn't hurt, but my car was almost totaled.
Oh my!
And as I sat there, I thought, I'm close, I'm of the age that I could retire if I wanted to. I could also delay it, and social security stuff. But anyway, I'm sitting in the car after this accident, and it dawns on me, what if this is the last time? No. First thing is, you don't need to be driving back and forth because I live an hour away. You don't need to be doing this anymore. And then I thought to myself, what is this? What if this is the last time that I teach? And I haven't taught, I haven't been back. Everything shut down after the accident. There was spring break, and I had to at first I couldn't get back and forth anyway because my car was a wreck. So I couldn't commute. And then, here we are a year later, and I'm still off campus. So it's been an adjustment. And some classes I enjoy. I generally teach online anyway. But other classes, like my hip hop class, I really miss the face-to-face interaction. And
What's the
particularly the ability to work on our service project. We have a service project in that class.
What's the service project?
Well, a lot of times it's an event on campus, a spoken word event or a series of spoken word events on campus. Uh, Generally, that's what it is. We've also partnered with a community organization several years ago that has a mural across the street from campus to document the mural. So that those are a couple things that we've done. This is kind of up for grabs right now. I had them do PSAs, public service announcements last semester about mask wearing or some other issue related to the or voter participation. They could choose which one, not political ads. I told them, but bipartisan, voter participation, civic engagement type public service announcements. So I like those kinds of activities with my students because they learn some things, and I get to see how their minds work, how they approach the project and the gifts that they bring to the project during the execution of it. And it always, it's an opportunity for me to get to know my students better, I think.
And you're working with mostly all college students, or do you work with younger students as well?
Oh, college students. But of course, I do school visits in K through 12 schools. But my at the university, I'm just teaching college students. Occasionally, we do have two early college programs on campus. So occasionally, I'll get a student who's from the early college program, and although they are younger, they are already taking college courses. So they finish their high school degrees by the end, high school diplomas by the end of, I think, 10th grade or the middle of 11th grade, and then they take university courses. Gotcha. So occasionally I get those students as well. And of course they're highly motivated because they're high achievers. They have to, apply to get in that type of program. So
they want to be there. They're eager to get it done, and you're happy to work with them and
probably
do some additional good with the public service announcements beyond simply teaching the students, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I do enjoy. That's a course that I created, and it kind of ties in with my book, The Roots of Rap. 16 bars on the 4 pillars of hip hop, because the curriculum in the course looks at the same elements of hip hop that the Roots of Rap covers: MCing, DJing, b-boying, that's breakdancing, and graffiti. So those 4 elements we look at, in addition to some other elements that KRS-One has added to hip hop. But the book covers that same territory. But the class also looks at the spoken words, African American spoken word traditions that inspired and preceded hip hop as well. So we do text to text comparisons of hip hop lyrics and poems on similar themes, African American poems on similar themes. And we look at the politics of hip hop, or the engagement of hip hop artists in the political arena, and also the influence of hip hop on commerce. So it's a popular course, and I love it face to face, and I hope I'm able to teach it face to face again soon.
Well, obviously your poetry is widely available, and esteemed audience should be enjoying it now. But have you written any hip hop as well?
No, except that when I started writing professionally, this would have been in the 70s when I first got published. It was like in probably 82. I mean, that was the beginning period of hip hop. And sometimes I wonder if what I was writing then was really hip hop, but I didn't know where, I didn't know where to go with it. I didn't see myself as an MC, and hip hop was in a different phase than, where, I mean, it was more playful, and my poetry was more serious. And then in 82, the Message came out, and I'm like, yeah, hip hop, that was the first, hip hop song that really did incisive social commentary. And it just blew my mind. But I still didn't write hip hop. I didn't think I was writing rap, rather, at the time. Because I wrote so much free verse as well, but even back then, and historical poems that had historical themes, much as I do now.
Well, if you were starting brand new from scratch today, do you think you'd still pursue picture books first, or do you think that you would start with hip hop and then maybe branch
Oh,
into
I think
picture
I'd
book?
start with hip hop. I think I'd start with hip hop. If I had known then what I know now, I would have done hip hop. But I think, the thing that probably would have held me back is that I was shy and I didn't really like to be, in front of people. I did have some opportunities to read my work, but I always wanted to like do it with somebody. I had that stage fright thing going on. So that might have held me back even then, even had I attempted it. But yeah, now I do it. Now I just put myself out there and do it.
Well, you could, I don't know, you could contact Lin-Manuel Miranda and see if he needs a lyricist.
Okay.
Should be all right.
Do you need a lyricist? Lin-Manuel Miranda, do you need a lyricist? I'm here.
I'm sure he listens to the show every week. We appreciate your patronage, Mr. Miranda.
Yeah.
My son loves
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. So, yeah, I probably would attempt hip hop now because it can open up the doors to so many other avenues. Hip hop artists have become actors and entrepreneurs and different, as my daughter used to say, different things.
Great book authors. Somebody sent me 50 Cent's book. I don't know, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, authors, producers. Yeah, but they're all over entertainment.
So for the uninitiated, I should mention that we're having this conversation about the path you could have taken in hip hop, but I'm talking to you when you've won 2 Caldecots now. You just got a Newbery honor. 3 Caldecots. Oh, I apologize. I skipped one. Multiple King honors. You've had an extremely successful career as is, but you could have had the Grammy as well, I guess.
I could have been, in a serious studio right now, talking to you, with the padded rooms and everything at my house, and in the media room of my house. Yeah, that could have been the life.
Oh, you wouldn't be talking to me. You'd be talking to Joe Rogan. That would be.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, it's been wonderful. I mean, this is a career that I, never even dreamed of. As I tell kids when I'm doing presentations at schools, uh, when I was growing up, even though I loved books, and and I loved those books, even though I didn't get to see myself in them very often at all, hardly ever when I was a child. I loved books, but I had no idea that the authors who were writing them were, number one, alive, and number two, getting paid to do that work. And so I didn't know anyone. There were no authors in my parents' social circle. At least I didn't know them. And in fact, I don't think there really weren't any. So, it was not a career path that I could have envisioned growing up in Baltimore in the 1960s and 1970s. But it's just been beyond my wildest dreams. I've been able to create with my son and to travel with him to West Africa to present and to the Middle East. And it's been wonderful. So it's very fulfilling. And I just love the idea that because I write nonfiction, I am discovering information that I then think is important enough to share with kids, and kids are reading my books whom I will never meet, in places I may never go, I will never go. So it's amazing to me, the power of the written word and the power of picture books and the power of nonfiction.